Hi, my dear students. Once again, I am welcoming you to the IFRS classes. And in the previous class, we are discussing about the Property, Plant and Equipment Indian Accounting Standards 16. So in this, we are already completing objective, scope, definition of important terms, bearer plant, carrying amount, cash or cash equivalents, depreciation amount, entity specific value, fair value, impairment loss, property, plant and equipment, recoverable amount, residual value, and after that the recognition and a measurement at recognition, after the measurement, so before measurement recognition, after measurement recognition, and now we are moving on the next concept here. The two models we are taken into consideration for the measurement. Two models we are taken into consideration for the measurement after we are installing the asset in an organization. Either it may be a machinery, or it may be a furniture, or any equipment. When we are installing, when we are taking into an organization, the entire evaluation or the entire measurement will be placed in two models. That is what we called as cost model and revaluation model. These two models is very essential, and each and every organization, they are taken into consideration for their measurement of an asset. The entire property, plant and equipment will be applying these models. The first model is cost model. In this cost model, so what it means here, cost model, what it means here, after recognition of an asset, an item of property, plant and equipment shall be carried at its cost less any accumulated depreciation, less any accumulated impair loss. So what they are telling us, cost model is nothing but, so after we are identifying as an asset, so when we are identifying it is an asset, so it will be in the control of the organization. Those asset, what we called as property, plant and equipment, shall be measuring or evaluating on its cost price, on its cost price. When they are measuring on its cost price, they are deducting accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation is nothing but what depreciation incurred in an organization because of that particular asset. Because of that particular asset, it is related to the particular asset. Depreciation means those depreciation we are deducting in the cost price of the asset, as well as we are also deducting any accumulated impairment losses. We are also deducting any accumulated impairment losses. So what happens here in the cost model? So after we are recognizing it is an asset, so we are measuring at its cost value by deducting the depreciation and impairment loss. What is meant by impairment is nothing but it is a permanent reduction of an asset value. It is also considered as loss. It is also considered as loss. Therefore, so it is what we called as the cost model. So in this cost model, each and every accounting standard, so either it may be a property, plant and equipment, or it may be a investment properties, or it may be a government grants, or it may be a borrowing cost, or it may be a intangible assets, or it may be a impairment of assets, leases, any accounting standard, we are particularly taking into consideration the two models. Among those two models, this is the cost model. So in this cost model, we are measuring an asset at its cost value by deducting the accumulated depreciation and accumulated impairment losses. This is about the cost model. After that, next we are moving on revaluation model. Revaluation model also, it is also another revaluation model is also another model we are taking into consideration while we are measuring an asset. While we are measuring an asset, revaluation model also we are taking into consideration. So what is meant by revaluation model? See, what is meant by revaluation model is nothing but a revaluation model after recognition of an asset, an item of property, plant and equipment whose fair value can be measured reliably shall be carried at a revalued amount, being its fair value at the date of revaluation less any subsequent accumulated depreciation and subsequent accumulated impairment loss. See what they are telling us. Each and every asset we are not considering the cost price only. We are also considering the what is the exact value it has in an organization while we are selling the asset or we are demonstrating the asset or we are replacing the asset. ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ರಿವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಸೆಟ್ ನ ರಿವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So how they are revaluing is nothing but they are measuring what is the exact revalued amount in the date of revaluation. So what is the price available when they are, what is the amount of revaluation? Then this amount they are deducting the depreciation and they are also deducting the subsequent accumulated impairment losses. ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ ರಿವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಜರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ರಿವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ರಿವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಸೆಟ್ ನ. ಸೊ ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಡೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಸೊ ರಿವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿದಂತ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಆ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಡಿಪ್ರಿಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಎಂಪೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಲಾಸಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ revalued amount. Those revalued amount they are taken into consideration. Why? Because so many organization adopting the so many system of measuring assets. So different systems they are adapting. Some organization they are adopting the cost model, some organization they are adopting the revaluation model, different types of depreciation methods they are adopting. So that purpose, so here two models they are adopting to value the or to measure the asset, such as cost model and the second one is the revaluation model. So this is the exact information they given in the accounting standard 16. Yes, after that we are moving on the next major important concept here, disclosures. This is very essential and most important concept. It is asked for you for the 6 marks question. It is a 6 marks question. Write down the disclosures of property, plant and equipment, or explain the disclosures of the property, plant and equipment, or so what are the disclosures of property, plant and equipment? Indian Accounting Standard 16 they asked for you. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಏನೇನನ್ನ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಜರ್ ಇಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಶೋಯಿಂಗ್. ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಜರ್ ಇಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಶೋಯಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಶೋಯಿಂಗ್, ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಸಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಯರ್, the financial statements shall disclose for each class of property, plant and equipment. Financial statement. What are those financial statement? income statement and position statement. What are those financial statements? Income statement and position statement. In the income statement and position statement, what items we are showing for the purpose of income tax authorities, for the purpose of superiors, for the purpose of verification of auditors. Why? Because auditor is an external person. We don't know what item, what books of accounts, what records they are asked to show us. So in that situation, we are ready to face any type of document verification. We should disclose exact, accurate, efficient information related to property, plant, and equipment. So in that situation, see, there are the important disclosures we made. So the first one here, the measurement basis used for determining the grass carrying amount. Grass carrying amount. The measurement basis. Here, measurement basis is nothing but either you are measuring based on the cost model or you are measuring based on the revaluation model. So what type of basis of models you are using for calculating grass carrying amount? Grass carrying amount is nothing but what is the total amount of an asset called as carrying asset by deducting in the carrying amount. What is meant by carrying amount is nothing but deducting the depreciation and impairment loss. The final amount what we call as carrying amount. So first, basically we should disclose the measurement basis. Either you are selecting the cost model or you are selecting the revaluation model for the calculation of the carrying amount. This is the first disclosure. After that, the second one here, the depreciation methods you are using. See, this is very, very essential in an organization as well as in a corporate sector. So many organizations, they are using the different depreciation methods. So what are the different depreciation methods? Straight line method, diminishing balance method, annuity method, revaluation method, cost method, investment method. So these are all what we call as different depreciations methods they are using. Here, in your organization, what type of depreciation method you are using, also you should disclose in your financial statements. In your financial report, also you should give the exact report or the financial data. What type of depreciation methods? Why? Because income tax authorities, they preferring income tax authorities, they preferring the diminishing balance method. So but some organizations, they are using different depreciation methods. For the purpose of income tax also, we should disclose, we should show what type of depreciation method you are using. And the third one here, the third one here, the useful life or the depreciation rates used. See, this is very, very important. Why? Because to determine the profit of the financial statements, to determine the financial position of the organization, we should know what is the useful life of the asset. We should also know what is the depreciation rates they are using. Why? Because some organizations, they using high rate of depreciation to reduce the value of the asset. So what happens in that situation? When we are reducing the asset value, our liabilities value will be increases. So it is the misuse of the shareholders amount, shareholders cash. So therefore, it is very, very essential. We should know the depreciation rates. What type of depreciation? Either it may be a 10% or it may be 8% or it may be a 6%. So what type of depreciation rates they are using, it must and should disclose in the financial statements. After that, we moving on the next one. So in the next one, they are disclosing the gross carrying amount and the accumulated depreciation. So in bracket, they are given aggregated with accumulated impairment losses at the beginning or the end period. See, this is what they are telling us. Gross carrying amount is nothing but it is a amount finally available for the calculations. It is the amount finally available for the calculations. Here, gross carrying amount, how much we are incurred for the particular asset, and the accumulated depreciation. So, it is also included in the impairment loss. So, those accumulated depreciation and the impairment losses from beginning, when we are purchasing, when we are installing, when we are acquiring the particular asset, what is the beginning depreciation value? So beginning is also known as the accounting year beginning. Accounting year beginning, what is the carrying amount and accumulated depreciation included impairment loss? What is the end of the period when the accounting year is beginning? So after the accounting year is ending, so this situation, so what is the carrying amount of particular asset? So it is also essential to disclose. After that, the next one here, the next one here, a reconciliation of the carrying amount at the beginning and end of the period. This is very, very essential. We should know that reconciliation of the carrying amount. Reconciliation is nothing but readjusting. So, what is the variation amount? When the organization accounting year is begins, in that situation, what is the carrying amount? When the ending of the particular accounting year, what is the carrying amount? If any alterations we are done, so you should also disclose those alterations. So therefore it is also very, very essential to disclose reconciliation carrying amount, beginning and ending period. After that, the financial statements also disclose certain most important disclosures here. What are those? Means the financial statements shall also disclose some of the important disclosures here. Among those, the first one, the first one here, the existence and amounts of restriction on title and property, plant and equipment pledged as a security for liabilities. Yes, this is very, very essential. In the financial assets, in the financial statements, it is also necessary, it is also necessary when any assets we are taken it to pledge and we are given it as a security to taking the loans, to taking the credit amounts, to taking the any payable amounts. So these are all what we called as liabilities. To get a liability, we are given a security. So what type of security? For example, machinery. So machinery we are taking and we are pledging in the bank and we getting a loan amount. So what is the security bank they are given to a loan amount means? So it is a machinery. So this information also we should disclose in the financial statements. Why? Because it is very, very essential. It is very, very essential. So what is the pledged amount also? So what type of assets we are pledging to get the loan or liabilities? After that, the second one here, the second one here, amounts of expenditure recognized in the carrying amount of an item of property, plant and equipment in the course of its construction. So what happens here? Recognizing amount of expenditure. So amount of expenditure also incurred while they are constructing the asset or installing the asset. For example, building they are constructing means each and every construction expenses incurred to construct the building. So it is also associated to the expenditure of construction of building. So this is also we should disclose. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, those additional expenditure also we are considered, it is a that particular asset additional cost. So it is also included. So ಅದನ್ನು ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. After that, the next one here, the amount of contractual commitments for the acquisition of property, plant, and equipment. See what happened here. The amount of contractual commitments, the amount of contractual commitments for the acquisition of property, plant, and equipment. See what happens here. In certain some situations, some business organizations, they are running their business organization in the premises called as a rental premises or lease premises. In that situation, contractual amounts or contract amounts they are given to the, in case it is a lease contract, they are given, so they are entering to the lease contract means lease expenses also incurred. So the lease expenses also is associated to the property, plant, and equipment means this essential information also they should disclose. After that, the last point is the disclosure. In the disclosure, so this is the last point here. So here in the last disclosure, if it is not disclosed separately in the statement of profit and loss, the amount of compensation from third parties for item of property, plant, and equipment that were impaired, loss or given up, that is included in profit and loss. See, this is very, very essential. If any compensation we are receiving related to the property, plant, and equipment, or any compensation we are given, or any permanent loss we are incurred for the particular asset, so each and every information regarding we are not entered in the profit and loss account means it is also separately we are disclosing the information related to the compensation of third parties, are we receiving or we paying to the third party, or any permanent loss we are incurred for the particularly asset, or any loss we are incurred for the particular asset. So this is information also we should disclose in the financial statements of property, plant, and equipment. Yes. So this is about the property, plant, and equipment. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬೈ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ, ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ವಿಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ 2 marks ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಒಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನು ಯಾವ್ದು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಂಗ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಪ್ರಿಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫೇರ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. So what is recoverable amount anta kelbodu. So one 2 marks question is possible in this accounting standard, and one 6 marks question is possible in this accounting standard. So this is about the property, plant, and equipment. After next class we should moving on. The next class we are moving on the investment property Indian accounting standard 40 we are discussing the next class.